Heyo, I'm Colby from Sanitarian Productions. We're back again with another G.I. Joe action figure review. Today we're looking at the Ice Dagger with Frostbite figure from the Rise of Cobra line. Very cool looking box set here. Very nice artwork here featuring the Ice Dagger. Get a nice little window picture of the figure that's included, Frostbite. Flip this thing over to the back. We see a nice picture of the actual vehicle in use and some of the features. Pretty typical for a standard Rise of Cobra packaging here. The top has basically the same artwork on it. The side has another cool picture on it. The far side here has the EA game kind of thing here with a brief description of the G.I. Joe universe. And on the bottom, we've got the file card for Frostbite, which is pretty cool. This thing came out in 2008, if I remember correctly. And it's fairly easy to come by, so you shouldn't have a hard time tracking this thing down. It is actually just a repackaged version of the one that, so let's see, they originally came out with this, I think, in the direct-to-consumer line of G.I. Joe with a slightly different color scheme. It was more of a white and brown camouflage looking thing. So this one actually looks pretty good in the blue, so I'm anxious to see what it actually looks like when we get it out. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to go ahead and open this thing up and pop it out. So we do have a couple of pieces of tape here holding this thing in, so we'll just cut that off real quick. Then we've got this little tab thing here. Just pop that out. This crazy accordion style folding system that they got. And everything should just slide out of the package here. The sticker is way down here in the bottom, so it didn't quite stay with everything, but there we go. We'll set that to the side now. As far as trying to get everything else out, we'll start here with the figure, and it's just taped in here in its little bubble sealer thing, so we'll just slice that off real quick. Maybe not real quick, but quick enough, I suppose. And this should just lift out. There we go. So the figure slides out. He's still got some rubber bands holding him on, and we'll look at that here in a moment. The rest of this, there's a couple of pieces of tape holding kind of everything else in place here, so we'll go ahead and cut that tape. That's not necessary. Some tape on this other side here. We're just going to go ahead and cut all these flaps as well while we're at it. And it's all just a bunch of tape. And I think that's pretty much got it. So we'll start unfolding this thing here. We do have the instruction booklet is kind of here in this bottom piece right here. So just slide all that out. So instructions and catalog insert. And there is a big, huge piece of tape here at the bottom. And I didn't get cut a second ago, which folds this piece out. And we do have the rest of the accessories here also taped in place. So we'll cut that tape. There we go. Set that to the side. While we are at it, we've got these other little twist ties holding things in. So we're going to snip them real quick. A little snippety here. This thing's probably going to fall down and go bang here in a second. kind of hard to look past this light I have. That wasn't too bad, actually. These little plastic pieces are just trash, so. Alright, now we can accordion fold this thing and see what we got. And this thing should just lift right out, so that's cool. We can get rid of this trash now. So what do we have here? To get rid of these metal twist ties, they're around the skids at the front. So we can just pull those off. They come off pretty easily here. Then the track system on the back has the rest of this. So we just need to kind of grab that and pull it to get the rest of that off. There we go. And we've got 2 of these rubber bands here to go ahead and cut off as well while we're at it. There we go. All that's good and taken care of. So it comes pre-assembled for the most part, except for these little bitty accessories, which we'll get to in a second. We do have this nice, cool Accelerator Suit Duke poster, half poster, whatever you want to look at it as. Pretty nice looking. On the back of it, we've got some of the additional figures and accessories and craziness going on with the G.I. Joe universe from the Rise of Cobra line, so that's cool. Here's a couple of books I hadn't seen before, so I may have to look into that. Anyways, that's the insert. We do have the instruction sheet here. It's a nice green color here for us anyways. And the sticker placement and everything on the back. So, very cool. And then the sticker sheet here, which I'll include as we go through this. Pretty cool looking anyways, so very nice there. So that's all we get in the set. We'll go ahead and zoom in here and take a look at the accessories, the figure, and go ahead and attach everything to this thing and do a review, so stick with us. We'll start with just the accessory kit here. We're just going to open this thing up, slice this little tape holding it on, and dump this out so we can see what these little things are. So we have 4 missiles, a cool gun thing, an antenna, and some cool radar satellite dish looking thing. So that's all the accessories we get in this kit. So yeah. No guns for Frostbite, but it's okay. So this version of the Ice Saber doesn't actually have construction instructions, so we're going to kind of have to just wing this as we go. So we will start with the turret gun here at the front. So the accessory kit has this little gun attached to it in the bag. Pretty nice, little detailed. It's got a cool handle up here at the top. The way this thing attaches is the little handle piece will go to the top, and then on the sides you do have these slightly protruding little nubs, spoke looking things here. They will attach to this cannon mount on the front. There are 2 little holes on each side of this thing here, and you just line this thing up and snap it in place. And it should lock in place there, so just kind of push down on it until it does lock in place. Then after that it does rotate as much as you want it to, at least to that point. And then over here to this point, gets a little sticky after that. So yeah, there we go. That is does rotate all the way up, so that's cool. Moving on, we do have, let's go to the antenna here. Pretty straightforward antenna piece here. Not a lot of detail work, but still nice. On the rear of the vehicle, so you'll find this cage contraption here. On the back, there are these two holes here. One is larger than the other one. You want to find this small hole, and the antenna will just plug straight into that hole. Just kind of press down and wiggle it a bit. Or a lot. There we go. Till it snaps in place, and then you got your antenna locked in. Yeah. The other piece we have is this cool satellite dish thing. So it will go in the larger hole here on the back, right beside the antenna. And it will work the same way as the other one. So just press down on it until it snaps in. There we go. Once it's snapped in place, it will rotate all the way around. So you don't really have to worry about it being facing any particular direction. That's entirely up to you here. The only other accessories we got are the missiles. So let's load them into the missile launchers. On the very back of this roll bar cage thing, there's a little button here. Press that button, and this cool turret system kind of pops up, and that's what we're looking for to find the missile launchers, which are on the side of it. And these things do rotate up and down, and this turret kind of goes all the way around. Whoop. So rotate those things up, then grab your missiles and just lock them in place. You'll notice that the missiles themselves, if we can get here, have these cool like wing things on them. On the actual missile launcher themselves, they will only go in one way because of that little wing system. So line the wings up, and then you should just be able to press all the way back on that thing until it snaps in. And repeat the process for your other 3 missiles, for a total of 4 missiles. There we go. Pretty cool. And that's what it looks like in the up position. And then we just snap that back down in place, throw these things back up, and that's all the accessories we get. So we can go ahead and jump now to the features. Feature 1. Pull skis forward for driving position. The skis can be pivoted. On the front of the vehicle, you've got your skis here. They slightly pivot and turn a little bit. So we'll flip this up to the bottom here so you can actually see what's going on here without hopefully shattering anything. Have a pretty good rotation on them. It does move forward and gives a little bit more rotation on it. That's what they're calling the drive position. Then lock it back in place and it doesn't turn very much, so that's the attack position, I guess. So if you're looking for mobility, push it all the way forward, and then you can turn it as much as you want. Then press it all the way back and you're pretty much just going to go straight. So not really sure why they did that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm assuming it's for stability, so when you're launching missiles and stuff, you lock it in place and it goes forward, but I don't really know. So it still looks pretty cool. Got some nice detail work on it here. Feature 2 is the gunner station. Press button to raise gunner station. And then, step B, insert missiles into launch bays, press button to fire missiles. So, as we showed you previously, on the very back of this thing here, we've got a button. Press it and this thing kind of bounces up. and it kind of rotates around, does some cool stuff, and then you can shoot things with it. So yes, on the let's flip this on its side here. So on the missiles themselves, the missile launchers, on the back where the pivot piece is, there's a little button there. So you press that button and both missiles blast out at the same time. If you only load one missile and press the button, then only one missile will go. And while we're looking at it, I'm curious if it's a pressure switch. So if you just barely press it, I can't get it to, I was hoping that by barely pressing the button, you can get it to fire one missile and then the other missile. But I'm not able to do that there. So it looks like it's just a single double fire there. Anyways, it's a pretty cool mechanism. The guns do look pretty cool there. These hinges on the side here are a little bit aggravating. Like I say, when you close it up and press the button, I guess sometimes they both fly off and sometimes they don't. So just be wary of that, I suppose. But it's still a pretty cool little feature. Feature 3 is the Canopy. Open Canopy, figure fits inside cockpit. So this one is pretty straightforward here. You can just grab here on the front and pull up on it. So let me point out that they actually have a little thumb finger knob right here. So it's kind of hard to get this thing if you just pick up on it to open. So what you want to do is put your fingernail underneath there and pull up, and that kind of unlocks the canopy. And then it just folds forward like so. You may also want to make sure that you raise your gun all the way to the front, to the top, like so. That way the canopy doesn't hit the gun itself. So as far as the actual canopy itself is, it's actually pretty spacious. So we've got our 25th anniversary beachhead figure here. We'll see how well he fits in here. Stick his feet in first, and then just kind of squish him down into place. And then drop the canopy down. I may have to push him in a little bit more. His pistol holders on his side kind of make him stick out a little bit more. But there you go. It locks in place and he's good to go. So you've got room for two figures in the front here. Again, just grab that and swing it up and you're good to go. So pretty nice. Some nice details in here. On the front molded plastic here, if you can see that, there are some dials and gauges and things like that. So they did a pretty good job there putting that stuff in, so that's nice. Go ahead and pull him back out here. And stick him in the passenger seat. Again, his pistol holder kind of keeps him from fitting in here real well. Just kind of have to squish him in there and shove him down. But once you do that, he fits in there just fine. So pretty cool. Feature 4 is the tailgate. Open tailgate, a figure can be placed inside vehicle. So let's spin this thing around to the back side. We do have this really cool looking tailgate here, this armored thing here. You've got a nice little thumb catch right here at the top. You just kind of grab that and pull down, and you have access to the inside. There are 2 seats. I don't know if we can see that really well in there. Actually, there's just 1 seat in there. But that's better than nothing, right? So you grab your figure, fold his legs up, and just kind of stick him in here. And he sits in there pretty nicely. So yeah, kind of a little odd, but I guess they are trying to save room here. So, but it works pretty well. It looks nice. I guess you don't want your ground troopers to freeze to death completely here, so they get a little warm area to sit in, and so that's kind of cool there. We also have a couple of undocumented features here that I guess are really not undocumented, but things that aren't specifically pointed out in the instruction sheet. You do have a place up here at the front for a figure to stand and to man this little turret here. So just take your figure and stick him in here, and you've got a gunner for that front turret system. So then you can also stick a figure back in here in the gunner station. The actual roll cage does just kind of pop off here. It doesn't like hinge out or anything like that, so you kind of have to just pull it off. And it doesn't really do a good job of pulling off, so it's really, I guess, not meant to come off. So anyways, you can take your figure and just stick them in here. You'll have to kind of squish them around a little bit to get in there past the roll cage thing. But once you do that, there we go. They sit in there pretty easily. Mostly protected. There's a little bit of headroom there, so I guess put an armored guy there with a helmet. Still looks pretty cool. The big gun here on the front of the roll cage here actually does swivel left and right. It does not go up and down though, so once you extend it out, it makes a little bit more sense, because then you can turn this guy around backwards and he can shoot around bad guys and everything. You just will have to be careful when you're rotating this thing around. You do probably have to look out so you're not going to hit this other gunner. So yeah, that's kind of what that is. Other than that, if we flip it over here to the other side here, once you actually have this thing rotated around, you've got another figure holder right here. Let's pull Beachhead out again. So you can just stick another figure in here, and it's more of a troop carrier kind of thing there. When it's down in the down position, it kind of squishes him up against the cage there, and then this plate here will smack him in the face. So probably not a good idea to put a figure in there when you are riding around, but when this thing is up and there's a battle going on and you're trying to get out of there in a hurry, it does make a pretty easy place to hold another figure there. Beyond that, you've got one figure foot peg on the side here. Not a whole lot of space here for a figure to fit, but it will. Just kind of have to line up that hole on his foot and just press it in place there. And you can have a figure right on the side. This works pretty well when you actually have the gunner station locked down. You can have another guy here, and then when it's battle time, he can just jump off and run around. So we've got another one on the other side here. Kind of works the same way. There's a little peg here, and You just kind of stick your figure on there and he's good to go. So yeah, all in all, this thing is pretty cool. You've got room for 2, 3, 4, 5 figures seated, plus 2 more on the side, so that's 7. And then technically you can stick another guy in here, but only if you don't have this panel up. So you don't really gain an extra figure. I guess you could if you leave the missiles out. So there's a potential for having 8 figures on this thing, but 7 is kind of the most you get, which is still pretty good for a small size vehicle like this, and that's really nice. While we're looking at it, just want to show you some of the detail work on this thing. It's got some really nice stuff going on here. Lots of little gadgety stuff here on the sides. Cool stuff going everywhere. Some actually really nice detail work. The little flappy things are, prone to falling unlocked because there really isn't an actual lock anywhere. But yeah, it's actually a really cool vehicle here. And you know what? I just found something else here. So down here on the bottom, next to the tire treads, we have another foot peg that's hiding under here. So you can take and have another guy ride right there by sticking his peg there. Is there one on the other side? There is not one on this side, but so you can have 2 guys on this side of the vehicle, on the driver's side. That's really awesome. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. A little bit of extra trivia I didn't realize before, so. The figure that's included with this set is Frostbite. He is rubber banded in his little cage here, so we're just going to go ahead and cut these rubber bands off. Pull him out. And then discard all these old yellowed rubber bands. Alrighty. So the figure itself, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more, is kind of the standard Arctic Trooper sculpt here. He's got the big jacket, the fuzzy pants, and a cool hood. So yeah, not a whole lot of stuff going on with this guy, but still, it is pretty cool looking. It really does just work. It's a really good design. Looks really nice. It really is not representative of the Frostbite figure that we have traditionally come to see, but it's a good placeholder and a good kind of generic trooper here, so it is what it is. As far as articulation goes, the head does spin 360 degrees and is actually not being impeded much at all by the hood here, which is kind of nice. Not a lot of up and down motion, but a little bit. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joint, standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint, and his forearm twists. So no wrist articulation, just a forearm twist, so that's still nice. Should get most of what you're trying to do. I do kind of like the way that this base green kind of comes out in this. I don't know if that's intentional, but it does add a nice little pop here. Makes it less bland than it normally would be. We do have the waist twist and the ab crunch feature here, so nice there. Traditional T-hook at the waist joint, so the little pouchy thing here kind of hinders a little bit, but luckily you can kind of just press that up if you need to, and it doesn't really hurt much at all. So we do have the traditional double knee joint here as well, and then we have a ball and swivel at the ankle joint. So all in all, really nice articulation, to be honest with you. Really nice looking sculpt here. It works really well. The only downside that I see is really just the fact that he comes with 0 accessories. That includes 0 battle stands. So no figure stand with this set, which is pretty common for the Rise of Cobra figure line, for the vehicle line anyways. So we're kind of expected that, but it still kind of bugs me that we don't get those with these guys. So beyond that, it is a pretty cool figure. You're not going to go out of your way to get this one by itself, but again, if you throw it in as a bonus to the actual vehicle, it does work really well. So I do like it. For size comparison here, we've got the figure and the vehicle. So you've got a little bit more than one figure, so about 1 1/4 figures wide, and it is 1, 2, about 2.5 long. Height wise, looks like it's about a figure tall, not counting the antenna. So yeah, all in all, it's a really cool looking vehicle. I do like the color. The figure is really awesome as well. Doesn't come with any accessories, unfortunately, but the concept of this thing is really nice. It's a really nice kind of update to the Snowcat kind of concept, although they did eventually come out with the Wolfhound, which was really what we were all wanting anyway, so that's fine, but it's still a pretty cool vehicle. I do like to see them reusing some of the direct-to-consumer kind of molds, and they did a really good job with this one. The only real drawback I see as far as the actual vehicle goes, and I don't know how well it shows up on the camera or not, but the colors of the plastic are slightly different. So we've got kind of light blue on this top piece, and then these back pieces are the darker blue. Same thing with the gunner station, it's kind of that darker blue, which makes it stand out a little bit more than it should, but it's really not that bad, but just something I've noticed anyways, and something that's slightly bugging me, but again, not that big a deal. The plastic on the bottom is also that darker color, so I guess that might have been intentional, but don't really know. Still, all in all, it is a really cool vehicle. Plenty of storage for your figures here, so you can transport quite a lot of the Arctic Troopers with this thing. And again, it's fairly inexpensive, so I would say if you haven't picked one up, go ahead and do it. I don't think you'll be disappointed in it whatsoever. It is a really awesome vehicle, and they've done a really good job with it here. So yeah, I would say slightly more than recommended, but not quite highly recommended, but just barely not highly recommended. It's, yeah, I guess it just depends on the price point, to be honest with you, but it is a really awesome vehicle, so I think you'll be pleased with it. So go pick it up if you haven't already. That's all the time we've got for today, so thanks for watching. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to our channel and drop some comments down below to let us know what you think of this cool Ice Saber and the Frostbite figure for that matter. If you'd like to see anything specific in the future, feel free to drop a comment down below to let me know. I'll do what I can to try to find it and do a review for y'all. So just keep watching, and until next time, Yo Joe.